All right, welcome in McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Tuesday, September 9th, right here on Jocks. Glad you're with us. A lot to get to. We've got injury news across college football. The rest of the SEC we need to get to. Didn't really touch on all of those games yesterday the way that we want to. And didn't get a ton of feedback from you guys. We'll do that. 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. Listen online, JocksFM.com. You can also watch live on YouTube. Search Jocks945. G-Mac, you had an interesting day yesterday and kind of got to see something in person that you wanted to get into off the bat this morning. Being able to listen to Coach Dilfer yesterday. How was that?
It was awesome. And went to Monday Morning Quarterback Club, which is just a great organization I'm fortunate to be a part of. And do a lot of things for Children's of Alabama. It's just awesome. And it's obviously centered around football. And Coach Dilfer was the speaker yesterday. And I asked him at the end, he had a great conversation, great to hear a bunch of cool stuff, get his impressions on things. But one of the things I was most intrigued by was what he said at the end. I asked him verbatim, hey, why do you think these G5 teams, the Louisiana Techs of the world, the Troys of the world who had Clemson in a hole, the USFs that knock off Florida, the UABs who play Arkansas to the fourth quarter last year, a really close game, ended up losing the game by 10. Like, there's 100 examples in the last couple of years of G5s actually playing with P5s, and the reality is we've been told that the gap is widening. The gap is widening for a lot of reasons. I thought he had just a fascinating answer on it. He said, let's be real. Here's our roster. Our right guard was the number 6 guy at South Carolina. Our left tackle could be starting in the Big Ten right now. And was asked to go play in the Big Ten. Like, early in the season, first 2-3 weeks, these guys and these rosters and these starting rosters are not that significant a gap between the P5 and the G5. Now, as the season goes along and you have some attrition, yes, the gap gets significant because their depth is much better than our depth. Our starters are their depth. They don't have depth anymore. We actually have decent starters because guys want to play, and our starters can go and throw punches, right? Because they've seen that style of play before. They've seen that level of athlete, that caliber of player before. So I just thought that was really interesting, and I hadn't thought about it. And then I started going through it a little bit more. And you look at these guys that are starting on some of these teams, how many of them have Power 5 experience, Power 4 experience, and they're all over the place. So in a roundabout way, one of the takeaways I have is that if you go out and you handle your business a la Auburn, a la Bama, a la Tennessee, a la, a handful of other teams this past weekend, that's a pretty significant feather in your cap, more so than maybe in the past when those rosters were an enormous gap between the two of them.
It's why every Sunday when I do my Sunday SEC takeaways, games like that, I start it with handle their business. And there are people, I guess, that are new to it or don't look at it every week that always say, it was this team, it was that team. And when you win those games by 40 or 50 or 73 or 35, I feel like there is some credit that's owed now, maybe more so versus 10 years ago, for being able to go out there and manage that and handle that and do that the way that you did. And I think a lot of the reasons that Coach Dilfer stated should be brought up. Yeah. And then the other part, too, is, Greg, I imagine if he went a little bit further with that, he would tell you we have a lot of guys that have been together for 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of guys that have been around this program. We have a lot of guys that understand what we're asking them to do. Yeah. And, that's why we're able to operate as a team. I mean, you and I both know this. You look at, I think Florida is a good example of this. When you just watch the Florida plays, I didn't think it was near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now, when I saw the South Florida beat Florida, I thought and saw some of the things people were saying about it, I was like, this is going to be really ugly. Yes. But it's one backside tackle missing a cutoff. Instead of a play where Jaden Ball looks like he could go for 80, it goes for 3. or it's one receiver not making a stalk block on a screen, and you look at the all 22, and it's like, man, there's not another defender for 20 yards.
Yeah.
But that corner makes a tackle for 1 yard gain. It's just those little things that show up, and the execution of 10 guys or 9 guys is where it needs to be, but one guy it isn't. And then you take the next step from there, and then I think that's where it just comes down to effort, intensity, and that's one thing South Florida does have.
Sure.
Specifically on defense, they play hard.
They play hard.
I mean, they go after you. They want to dent your face mask. I mean, they're out for blood. That's just how their defense operates, and it's a similar defense to LSU where it's a lot of guys are. It's not even see ball, get ball. It's see gap, destroy gap.
Right.
Like slant here and just raise Cane, and it's got to be fun to play in it because it's just like your responsibilities are limited. But you have to have that intensity and you have to bring it. And they do. And that's just, it's that togetherness. It's that continuity of when to get the ball out, when to make a block, when to let a block go, when to go to the next level. All these things come together. And it makes a lot of sense because I think the continuity portion of that is when you get those things.
Yeah.
When guys have an understanding of we can let that backside in go, we got to get up to this backside backer now. Correct. Or else this play's not going to be able to go.
Yeah.
Because you hadn't run it 50 times together. You just haven't. So it makes perfect sense.
But I think it makes a lot of sense. I think another thing too, just taking it one step further, collectively, just watching it, and this is just a broad general observation, I think you're getting better effort from those teams too. Like, to be honest with you, when we would play against those guys, when we'd play against the G5s, it was like easier than scout team. Just being honest. Like it was not. It was a cakewalk. You're getting, because their effort level in some cases, like, really wasn't great.
Think about what they're playing for.
Now they're playing for it's their audition tape.
Shot to go to Big Ten or SEC or ACC.
It's the audition tape. So they are getting. I have had multiple coaches this year when I ask them about a transfer guy, and I asked him because I went back and watched that transfer guy at, say, Louisiana Tech. I'm sitting there doing the Miami game, and I'm like, Coach, this David Blake kid you got from Louisiana Tech last year, like number 90, and you got him now wearing number 11 at Miami? Like, this kid's serious. He goes, yeah, you see the Arkansas tape? I'm like, yeah. He goes, we recruited him because of that tape. And they now know, like, hey, that one game, if you just strain your gut, that one game, you're cooking with gas.
You can open the door.
Yep. You're in the door and you're going to make some coin.
I think there's one other possible aspect to that as well. What have a lot of those guys also seen happen? Where are a lot of their former teammates?
Up? I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of dudes at Troy. Troy's got what? A center at South Carolina, a tight end at Alabama, a running back somewhere. Ole Miss?
Yeah.
Their running back. A quarterback that actually got snaps at Texas.
Yep.
We all wondered what the hell was happening with that thing, but he actually got snaps this week. And I bet a lot of dudes on that team are sitting there thinking, I'm better than him in practice. I can hang with him. I played with him. I had better scrimmages than he did. So I bet a lot of these guys are also mad. And they got a big chip on their shoulder saying, well, if so-and-so can do it, I know I can do it. Yep. And then, like you said, they get that chance that they know that real coaches from real schools are going to be watching the Clemson film or be watching the Ole Miss film or be watching the Bama film, and here we go. Now's my time to shine. Now's my time to rip it up. Because I'm with you. Some of them were like we played UCF when Culpepper was there. Like, that was a little bit of a different deal. I think that team, like, legitimately thought they could win some games, which he gave you that belief because he was just individually that good.
Yep.
But we played we played Idaho, and they were tough. I've told
How was the D tackle?
He was not fun to deal with. I think he was 5'9".
Who's taller, him or Damien?
5'9", 290, and you just couldn't move him. Literally, you weren't getting your pads underneath his. But we also had Dontarius Thomas and Reggie Torbor and Carlos Dansby on our scout team. Like, Spencer Johnson was on our scout team, played in the NFL for like 9 years. Those dudes did not mess around. And Tuberville brought them in with a chip on their shoulder of, yeah, you're not good enough to play right now. Go over there and prove it. And so they wanted to. And it's a fascinating point. And I do think it's something that has not been talked about enough in today's college football of why some of these games may be closer and why some of these games may be a little bit more difficult for some other teams. And then the part that you brought up that we didn't really spend a bunch of time on, I do think is relevant, and I do think needs to be, I don't want to overly celebrated, but it needs to be respected more.
Sure.
And that is when Alabama does what they did this past weekend. Because Brian Vincent's a good coach, man. Like Brian Vincent, they know their scheme.
They have a good scheme.
They know what they do. They know how to run it. They got some good dudes playing there. Like their right tackle is
Look how many guys they have playing up.
And I'll tell you this, like their right tackle, go watch the right tackle from Monroe. He's going to be in the SEC or the Big Ten next year.
Where's he going to be?
I don't know that.
Why don't you just tell us?
I don't have his recruiting. Well,
Are you
know
his
what?
agent?
And today, I was going to say today it should be. Have you talked to his agent? Because I get.
Are you
going
to start representing a lineman?
I feel like I could. I feel like I could help him.
I think you'd be great. Your patience, you'd be fantastic.
That's the only position that I serve.
Yeah, no, that would be the only position you could serve because you're not dealing with divas.
Let's see if CA needs an O-line wing, and I can head that up. Does Cubelic have that guy? Oh no, he plays D tackle. He wouldn't represent him.
Would his patience suit him better for O-line or special teams?
I got no patience for special teams. None. Now I will say, the punter from Monroe who Bradshaw, I think it was Cole Adams. I give that kid a little respect. We mentioned his name on the broadcast. You clothesline a guy in a game and don't get penalized, we'll at least say your name. We'll give you a little credit.
You're about that life?
Well, I got a little something for you. Now, you still don't do anything in practice all day. So that doesn't change. But we'll give you a little more respect. So I do think that some of these teams deserve a little bit more than what they get. I mean, we all just shoo it away. We swipe left, whatever. We just don't pay enough attention to it. But then all of a sudden Clemson plays a close one, and it's like, what's wrong with Clemson? Well, it might not just be that. There could be some other factors that are playing into why these games are a little bit tighter than people think.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of factors. I think there's a lot to be appreciative of with the effort that some of these teams are putting forth. You're 100% right. Like when a team goes out there and doesn't play with their food, that you deserve some credit for that. Look, a lot of teams are going to have hangovers. There's going to be, I get it. I understand there's different circumstances, but I can tell you this, that Clemson-Troy game was not a fluke. I watched it back. That game was not a fluke. Like, okay, eventually the dam broke, but you should have seen how Troy was getting in their grill in the first half of that football game. Cole, I bet, probably has not had a chance to watch it. I'm sure he will this week. But you see these safeties are playing like 8 yards deep, saying, all right, throw it over our heads. Come get it. Like, these guys are up in the receiver's face, like challenging them. Like, it was fun to watch. It really was. Really, really fun to watch. So, really enjoyed watching a lot of those G5 programs like go toe to toe, because I kind of agree with Dilfer's assessment. I'm like, man, it just like the gap is not as wide as it once was. Like it really wasn't, at least in the first 3 weeks of the season when everybody's healthy.
Yeah, but not a lot of people are going to pay attention to that. Not a lot of people are going to look at that and say, this is why this is potentially happening, or this is what's going on. They're just going to look at the two names and the two brands and say, that should never take place. It's not a real thing. All right, Pat Dooley going to join us at 7:20 this morning. Find out sort of where the administration is in Florida. Billy Napier has said he's not handing over play calling. I don't know why people thought that was a real thing. I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's just who he is. It's what it is. It's his offense. He's going to run it. Andy Bertram is with us every Tuesday at 8 a.m. We'll recap Auburn's win, discuss some injury issues, maybe with Andy, and talk more college football throughout the course of the day. Damien gives us our NFL segment starting on Tuesdays today at 7:40. Let you know what happened around the league. So we got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about, but tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services first.
Sorry, as I was mid-coffee sip. Polar Bear Service is terrific. And right now, with the weather starting to change, gosh, does it feel nice outside or what?
It's good.
Goodness gracious alive. I'm sure the heat will come back for one more last punch in the face. I'm sure it will. It always seemingly does.
Don't worry.
Yeah, it always comes back. But my goodness, the last couple of days have been just absolutely amazing. So you know that cold weather's coming. You could feel it in the air. You could feel the crispness of the ground. Now you need to go and check out Polar Bear Services. Get out in front of what might be a changing season before things get back to this weekend. And look, here pretty soon, you'll be running the heat at night and the cold air during the day. that can kind of put your system to the test. So make sure you get a whole home checkup from Polar Bear Services. And they can also help with your plumbing. They can help you with electrical. They can get a whole home generator installed. Everything you could possibly want at the very best. So go and check them out. It's Polar Bear Services. Remember, if you had a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bears, 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, when we come back, Pat Dooley on just where everything is right now in Gainesville and Billy Napier and his future. Next, right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 7:19, Tuesday, September 9th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Get to Pat Dooley here in just a moment. Before we go to Pat, I want to tell you about my friends at Royal Automotive. You know I drive a GMC Sierra from Royal each and every day, and for over 50 years. Royal Automotive, been helping our friends and neighbors experience how car buying should be. Right now, get financing goes over 0% with approved credit on select models. Through July 31st, certain restrictions apply. 4 dealerships, one destination, unmatched selection and savings. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia. From sales to service, the team at Royal can help you find that new ride and keep you rolling. When it's time to start searching for that next vehicle, all 4 stores in one location means you can get behind the wheel for a test drive without driving all over town. And when they say for every ride there's Royal, they mean it. If you're shopping for your first ride or your dream ride, go see my friends at Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia, online at royalautomotive.net. All right, Pat Dooley joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline, covers the Florida Gators, has for quite some time. From an administrative standpoint, we saw Billy Napier is going to continue to call plays. Scott Strickland puts a statement out that he is going to be the head coach moving forward. But where are things behind the scenes right now, Pat, with Billy Napier and his future in Gainesville?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that this fan base is set up. I mean, they were promised that they were hornswoggled. There's a good word for you from the olden days. They were convinced that this was going to be better, and then it was exactly the same problems they've had in the past: clock management, way too many penalties, stupid penalties. You got your two all preseason all SEC offensive linemen commit crucial penalties in the game. It's just more of the same old thing. He's lost to 6 unranked teams now, and he's 20-20. And that's not good 2020 vision.
It's totally fair. What was most troubling to me about this is the fact that they couldn't run the ball. You can tell me all you want about DJ Lagway, look, he's not quite in rhythm yet. Missed the spring, missed the summer, new weapons, injured players. You're without Caleb Banks. You're without good player. It's like, why can't you run the ball? Like, help me understand that. Like, what the heck is going on right now? Why couldn't they get it moving on the ground?
Well, that's the thing that's amazing, Greg, is the first drive they came out, they run right down the field. And, of course, they get down into the red zone, commit a penalty, get backed up, can't score. Lagway misses a throw that should have been a touchdown with a really good play call, and then they kick a field goal. And this has been what we've seen over and over and over again. But then they kind of went away from it, and the start of the second half, Florida gets the ball, they're up 9-6. You're thinking, all right, they'll probably go ahead and take care of this game now. And they throw 3 passes without Jaden Baugh in the game, who's their best player. And they've said over and over is their best player. It makes no sense to me. There just seems to be no rhyme or reason to the play calling, no rhyme and reason to a lot of things. And I wrote this in the column I write for WRUF, the back nine. Florida fans deserve better than this. You've had 14 straight sellouts, and believe me, I was there at the game Saturday. It was brutal. The humidity was ridiculous. And people are sitting there in the sun and cheering their butts off, and they made it an unbelievable atmosphere at the end of the third quarter like they always do. And they were into the game 100%. They deserve better than 20-20. I mean, that's Napier's record. It's not good.
It's not great. And is there anything that you feel like he needs to do behind the scenes? He said he's going to continue to call plays. Is there anything that he can alter, shift in the court of public opinion that would help where Florida fans are with his tenure?
Yeah, beat LSU, which, that was – we knew coming into this 4-game stretch it was going to be brutal, but we didn't think you would come in 1-1. And that's the thing. He's going to not be able to get to October without 2 losses for the 4th year in a row. And that's the thing that I think people are upset about. They can't get off the fast starts. They don't start well as a team. They haven't started well all the time he's been here. And then they don't play well away from the home. These are bad things. And I'll be honest with you, Cole and Greg, I can't understand why Florida can't get it right on football anymore. They used to be pretty good at this sport, with Spurrier and Meyer. And then it's just been this unbelievable roller coaster, and the inevitable feels like it's going to come, and they're going to have to do this all over again. And I don't know that there's an answer out there, I guess.
What about this week? It would be so Napier to win this week. And to be honest with you, I don't think it'd completely shock me. I don't know where Cole stands on it, but it would not be the most surprising thing ever. But in order for them to potentially make that happen, I think they got to get healthy. Can you give us some updates on the guys that are banged up? Caleb Banks in particular.
Yeah, I think he'll be ready to go this week, and I think that was the plan all along. And that wasn't that they were looking past South Florida. They just didn't feel like he was 100% ready to go, but he should be ready. And hopefully Dallas Wilson's ready this week. But he was in a boot last week still. And again, this is a guy who's never played in college football. But I saw him in the spring game, and this guy is incredible catch radius, big physical receiver, freshman. But I think he can help too. But that's not the problem. The problem, I know that not having Caleb Banks in there was, is not good. You'd rather have him in there. But the problem is just a combination of players not executing and coaches not doing a good job of getting them in the right position. Billy didn't call a bad game. They just didn't execute on any of it. Every time they have a good play, there either be a penalty or they get backed up for some other reason. And then they'd call an open play and they would make a bad throw. I mean, Lagway is not playing at a high level, not even close. We kind of saw this coming in the summer when he wasn't working out. He didn't go through the spring, didn't get down the timing, and he's playing like an average quarterback. And unfortunately, the team around him. We always talk about a quarterback can lift up an entire team. Well, they seem to be settling in the mediocrity that he is.
We are visiting with Pat Dooley on the Higginbotham Hotline. He covers the Florida Gators. What about the discipline aspect of this, Pat? What explanation is there? What do you turn to? Rhyme, reason for it? There's no excuse for a couple of the things that happened late in this game. What does Billy say about it? Where do they go next? Because this is something that's going to continue to hold this team back from potentially winning games.
Absolutely, and it has. That's the point. And I get I bristle when I hear a coach or players say that's out of character for us. When you were 83rd in penalties last year, so I mean that is your character. That's who your character is, and that's the bad thing about it. When DJ Lagway says that bet spitting on the player, which right in front of a referee, which is so dumb, it's not who he is. It doesn't define who he is. Well, it's part of the definition. So when you guys keep doing these things over and over again on the field, it's hard for anybody to say, well, we know they're disciplined. They had 11 penalties and only one of them was questionable. I didn't think the Hayden Hansen was interference, but they called it. So I get why they called it. I just didn't think it was. But they called him 9 penalties on South Florida too. So it wasn't like that was a difference in the game. But the Florida's penalties all seem crucial. And don't forget, also your All-American long snapper snaps it way over the guy's head and for 2 points, and that was a difference in the game. So just lack of discipline, lack of structure, lack of execution. In year 4 with the best, as you've said over and over again, the best roster you've had at Florida, shouldn't look like that.
What qualifies as an All-American snapper? That's one question that just comes up. Oh, he didn't screw up. Make him an All-American. All right, perfect.
Well, that's what makes it good. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Don't screw up. Yeah, that means that because there will only be 30 bad snaps this year, there's 80 All-American long snappers. So I'm great with that.
Well, he's off that list now.
Yeah, he's gone. Bye. Next man up. Lastly, DJ Lagway. You can't put a lot on his shoulders, I don't think. I think he's still a young player. I think we lose sight of that. He's only started 9 games, however many it's been. It's not like he's had some ridiculous amount of time. It's not like I think people looked at last year and the great plays that were made and ignored the sub 60 completion percentage.
Right.
And then 9-7 touchdown interception ratio. Now the upside will always be there, but where is he at as far as his development is concerned?
Yeah, he's not where he needs to be. In fact, if you look at the first drive of the game, Greg, and there was they threw this kind of wheel route to Tony Livingston, the tight end, coming out on a wheel. And he was open, and it was just a bad throw right over the top of his head. That's not where you throw it.
Yep.
And but if you look at the play itself, he's throwing off 2 feet. He's not stepping forward. He's just throwing with all arms. And there were multiple plays in that game where he just threw off his back foot and threw with all arm. He's got the arm talent, but he's not accurate when he throws like that. He's got to step into the ball. And this goes back to what we've been talking about. He missed all the spring. He had the setback in the fall. Didn't have a lot of live practices. So I mean, I think if you go back to that Long Island game, I don't know why they set him in the second half. I mean, give him time out there. He should have played the whole game. Just to make sure he had the timing down. But that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is, like I said earlier, I think he's right now a very average quarterback. And you make a great point. He's got 9 starts in his career, and that's it. And he's also a sophomore, and he's also missed all this time. And there's also a ton of expectations on him. He's doing commercials everywhere. There's a lot going on in DJ Lagway's life. And sometimes I think this is part, and you know this well, Greg, part of the ramifications of NIL, where you're not always focusing on the things you need to be focused on.
Pat, you brought it up a little bit earlier, the conversation around the roster, and I know those are Billy's words that he's used. Where do you sort of grade this roster? One, from Billy's perspective in his tenure, and then 2, just from a historical Florida perspective.
Well, I think it's the best roster they've had since 2020, and that, I mean, they aren't as good offensively, but defensively they were terrible that year. So I think the balance is there. It might be the best roster they've had since Muschamp's second year. I'm sorry, when they won 11 games. But they have to be able to translate it to the field. All the good things that Billy said, there is nothing that I have questioned that he has done away from that stadium. The problem is nobody cares about anything that happens except what happens in the stadium. We know that. I know that developing players and getting their educations and all that stuff is important, and making sure that they're comfortable and making sure they're taken care of and keeping them there and dealing with NIL and dealing with agents. The agents I know are circling right now. They're waiting for the shoe to drop so they can get their player and get them out of here. So that's a real negative of this, but it is a good roster. It is a talented roster. I mean, you saw Vernell Brown, man. That guy is a player. Ernest Graham's son, Miles Graham, is a player. But they have to figure out how to play better football. That's the bottom line. And I've said this before, and I think both of you guys will agree with me. You're only as good as your stars. And if your stars aren't playing well, you're going to have a hard time winning football games. And right now their stars are not giving them what they need. They're good enough players to do it. They just have to be able to do it, and they have to make themselves do it. And maybe I know there was a lot of guys saying a lot of things in that locker room, and maybe they're ready to come out and not let this happen again. Hey, we use the Northern Illinois comparison, right? When they beat Notre Dame last year, we said, well, Notre Dame's out, and they end up playing for the national title. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think the roster is that good, but I do think that Florida has got to figure some things out, and I don't know that you can. Last year they always talked about on the bye week they changed everything up, and they obviously had great success after that. You can't wait till the bye week this year. You're going to be 1-3 if you do that, and that's not good.
It's fair. Pat, great stuff. Thanks for the time today. We appreciate it and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Anytime, guys. Love you.
There you go. Pat Dooley, at Pat_Dooley on Twitter. You can find him as well. Wherever you get your podcast, another Dooley Noted podcast covers the Florida Gators. Some fun insight, some interesting insight to this Florida football team. We'll follow up with it and discuss it just a little bit more when we come back next on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Tuesday, September 9th, right here on Jocks. I want to go back to a couple of the things that Pat Dooley shared with us just a few moments ago. First, Greg, before we get into what the future may look like under Billy Napier, tell us about ProLift.
ProLift Garage Doors does an amazing job. They're all over, and they have places that they can service your garage door whenever you need. They are fantastic. 5-star reviews all over the place. You'll understand the second you call Mike, and the fact that they don't charge you for service calls is awesome. You pay only for the work. You don't pay for the visit. You pay for the work. They can service all brands of garage doors, whether it's opener repair, replacement, new installation, you name it. If you feel like you're having some issues with your garage door, ProLift is the group that you absolutely need to call. They also are serving Baldwin County too. So make sure you go. I would highly recommend just going to their website, proliftdoors.com. Read more about them, read the areas that they service and how they can service and make sure your garage door is running smoothly. Proliftdoors.com. That's proliftdoors.com. ProLift Garage Doors, lifting your expectations.
What can Billy do outside of winning games to calm down any of this, GMAC? Is there any move he can make behind the scenes? He said he's going to hold on to play calling. He's not going to change that. I'm not really surprised by that. I don't anticipate him to change that. It's not something I would expect him to give up. Just knowing him and knowing what he thinks about his offense. Behind the scenes, is there anything he can do to help, I guess, calm the fans down? 1, 2, help right the ship that needs to be righted if he's going to keep his job?
I mean, winning games. I mean, as simple as that. Like winning games. Like, first of all, I think USF's good. So I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. I'm not trying to make excuses. I won't make excuses, but I think USF's a good football team. So I think that he just has to win some games. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, undisciplined, penalties, critical errors at the last moment. The only thing that's weird about this, like it was throwing of the shoe that kind of was the beginning of the end for Dan Mullen. Now is spitting on the opponent. Is that the beginning of the end for Billy Napier? Like, that is just completely and utterly idiotic. You know what I mean? You just can't do it, especially with what happened on Thursday night when everybody was watching Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just dumb. But I just hope it's not the beginning of the end. I like Billy, but I don't know if he can survive it if they don't win some big games here soon.
It's that discipline portion, I think, too, that people look at and say, man, I thought that would be the part that had worked itself out because your team rallied around you at the end of last year. They had to keep you. It was the only way you were going to keep your job, and they did. And, came out this year, looked like things were going to go well week 1, had a couple of things potentially going your way. And to have that aspect of the team fall off to the extent that it did with those kind of mistakes, that's just something that's what I look at and just wonder how in the world could you get to that point?
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, some of the in-game management stuff with timeouts has been a little bit questionable, and you just wonder, are you overthinking things? Like, I do think there are some play calls, Greg, that I look at, and a couple end-around reverses, it just the timing of them, it feels, man, down in the red zone, really? Like on first or second down? Like I just there's some of that I just wonder is,
yep,
are you out coaching yourself at certain points in time? And I think that there's evidence to that being a possibility. I don't know the rhyme or reason for it, how or why, but it does feel like we've been there at times in not just this year, but last year as well.
Yeah, and sometimes, you want my opinion, I think you should hire an offensive coordinator. Like, some of the best, I have long said, who have I said is the best play caller in college football? Or one of? Mike Norvell. What do? He hired an offensive coordinator.
Got an OC, yeah.
Like, get your ego out of the way. Like, hire an OC. Like, delegate responsibility. It's not like your offense is like,
well, they've delegated all the other responsibilities with the 85 guys on staff that they have. So,
well, hear me out for a second. Like, it's not like his offense is like some revolutionary offense. Like, it's pretty bland. I'm not saying it's not effective. I really like it, to be honest with you. It's quarterback friendly. I like the offense. Like, I think it's pro style. It's multiple. Like, it's built on a power run game, built it off and married it up with play action. Like, but it's not like he's the only one that can call it. Like, to be honest with you, I could think of 15 guys in the SEC in the last 10 years that could call that exact same offense.
Yep.
Several of which have gotten run at their respective gigs because they weren't, quote, innovative enough. Like, who was the guy that was at Georgia for a long time and then went to Tennessee?
Jim Chaney.
Jim Chaney. Same offense, literally. Same offense.
Yeah, very similar.
Like Matt Canada, same offense. The only thing different about Matt Canada is like there's a little bit more jet sweep action. Like, but it's not like Billy's the only one that knows how to run an offense like this.
Fair.
I mean, if he's like a complete game changer like Sark, where he's formationing the heck out of you and he's featuring guys and he's got stuff that's creative, it's like he drew it in the dirt. Like, it's not like they're like, when I watch them, it's not like their offense is like overwhelmingly creative. Do you think it is?
No, but I'm with you. I like the offense.
I like it a lot.
The scheme.
I like it a lot, but it's not like somebody else can't call it.
Fair.
That's all I'm saying.
As far as DJ Lagway goes, there were a couple I know he'd like to have back in this past game. Early in the game, he's got a pass down the sideline that he overthrows.
Yes.
How
many overthrows?
The interception rolling right, kind of almost back across his body, but going to a deep post, and it is a little bit overthrown there. Ends up being an interception. I know that one you'd like to have that one back, but is he playing poorly? Is he pressing? How would you sort of describe where DJ Lagway is right now?
He just looks off. I mean, last throw of the game, for example, third down the left sideline. He's been described as top 5 talent, right?
Big time talent, yeah.
Possible number 1 overall pick someday. Like that type of ability. You cannot miss that throw. You just can't. You can't miss. You can't overthrow deep balls. How many deep balls do you overthrow in this game? 3? Thereabouts?
Yeah.
You can't miss them. Like, you just can't. You can't miss them. You got to hit those throws. There is no excuse for not hitting those throws. You can say, oh, it's low percentage. It's down the field.
Yeah.
We're not talking about your run-of-the-mill, high school guy. And guess who's making those throws? Joe Burrow. Guess who's making those throws? Baker Mayfield. Guess who's making those throws? You want to use Florida? I don't think Anthony Richardson's missing that throw. How many deep balls did he hit in his time? You want to keep going? Who's not missing that throw? Caleb Williams. Who's not missing that throw?
Jared Goff.
Drake May. Jared Goff.
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields probably missed that throw. But beside that, what I'm getting at, Mac Jones, if you're a top 5 pick potential, you got to freaking hit you got to hit guys that are open. You can't miss. You can't have long foul balls. And there's when I watch DJ Lagway, he's never going to be a highly efficient passer because so much of it is chunk yardage deep balls. But you cannot have long foul balls. And with him, I feel like there's a lot of long foul balls on a regular basis.
Well, he needs some added value inside that offense, some other guys to help him just a little bit more. We're going to add some value here on Jocks. We'll introduce you to our friend and wealth advisor, Tad Hill, your trusted retirement planning partner. Tad is the co-host of the Retire with Freedom radio and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville. Also designated by Forbes as the #1 financial securities professional in the state of Alabama multiple years running. Tad, what do you have for us today?
Okay, today is a topic that we've discussed before, but it's a pretty constant issue, and that is market volatility. And definitely the markets have been topsy-turvy for months in a row now. And if you're already retired or you're within 5 years of it, there's a thing called sequence of returns risk. And I can't go through all the math here. I can do that in our course or in a visit. But the bottom line is if you get poor returns early in your retirement, then you are at a much higher risk of running out of money. And our Retire with Freedom process is designed to help you build a plan to insulate you from that. We can help you. I would really encourage you to come to one of our courses or come in for a visit. And the way to do that is to text JOCKS at 205-988-0006. That's 205-988-0006. Text JOCKS, 205-988-0006.
This is a paid placement. Investment advisory services are made available through AE Wealth Management. For more information about Forbes rankings, visit Forbes.com.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Tuesday, September 9th, right here on Jocks. Every Tuesday, we're going to get you updated on the NFL, kind of just run through some of the scores, some of the things that happened, performances, and just one segment of the week that we at least designate to that. The Heat is going to be designated back in Birmingham later this week. Sounds like the Alabama game is going to be just absolutely brutal. I'm hoping that most of it stays a little bit west of Columbia before Saturday night, but not exactly sure if that's going to take place. That Alabama heat and humidity can hurt. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Trane cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years, and they're the official cooling partner here at Jocks. Find a comfort specialist near you at Trane.com. It's hard to stop a Trane. All right, Damian, the NFL over the weekend, what do you have for us as to exactly what went down?
I guess we'll start things off. The Tennessee Titans fall to the Denver Broncos 20-12. Cam Ward, 12 for 20, 110 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions.
Not a lot of protection either.
No, not at all.
I wish my first start I threw for 110.
How many did you start?
185 in my first start. Also, not a lot of protection. Got sacked 11 times. If only I was the first pick, I would have got more reps, more opportunities.
They also turned the Denver Broncos over 4 times, which is good, but they only mustered up 6 points off those turnovers. But it's the first week of the season, knocking off the rust.
Must be nice. Must be nice to have another opportunity to come back and play the next week.
What was preseason for?
Getting the rust put on, I guess.
Yeah, it was,
put the rust on.
noted.
Yeah, I like that.
But we have the Los Angeles Rams next week. Well, this Sunday at home. Turn some things around, which, I mean, they didn't look fantastic
Put
either.
somebody on Puka Nakua then.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game. But the biggest game over the weekend, Sunday night football, excuse me. The top 3 performances came from that game. Josh Allen.
That was an awesome game.
Yeah, 33 of 46, 394 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. Added 30 on the ground and 2 touchdowns as well.
How do they fumble there at the how do you fumble?
You get hit and the ball pops out.
Got it. Derrick Henry. Is there anybody that you ever could feel like safer with the ball in his hands?
I would feel pretty
Seriously,
good about
Pretty
him.
safe.
Over the course of dating back to college, 10 years.
If there's one person,
If
to
there's
have the
one
ball.
guy I feel pretty confident in holding on to the football, it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Ball in the jack.
Yeah, and speaking of Derrick Henry, he had 18 carries, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and 1 costly.
I don't care. The other stuff is great. He's amazing, but golly, Derrick killed me on that one. That's such a bummer.
It is indeed.
Josh Allen was 16 of 21, 251, and a touchdown in the fourth quarter. I thought they were dead in that game.
They were dead.
It was over. No
It
way
was.
they could win that game. And Josh Allen was incredible. Found a way to bring him back. It was fun to watch. Just a lot of big plays, a lot of big moments in that game. That felt like late November NFL football.
Yes.
So
that was
I
week
guess
1.
the rust actually was off of them
Correct.
somehow, some way.
Yeah, and shout out to Zay Flowers, who is the leading receiver in the NFL right now. 7 catches, 143 yards, and a touchdown. But
You really are. You no mention of the Steelers.
Well,
Why-
he's just
why
getting
would we?
started. He's only in the second game.
Why would we? Oh, Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of knocking off,
Had
the
to start
rust.
with the Titans, then had to get to
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
game.
of course.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we get the Titans in.
Yes.
Since everybody cares about
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Seriously, NFL stats acknowledge that if you mention the Titans, the ratings decrease. If you mention the Jaguars, the ratings decrease. You are not allowed in your lexicon to say those words on television.
Jaguars are 1-0.
I saw that.
They played the Panthers.
They're 1-0.
Confirm.
Anyway, shout out to honorable mention Bobby Okereke, 16 tackles in a loss to the Washington Commanders. And also, shout out to your boy from Old Road Tideland, Jordan Battle, 12 tackles for the Cincinnati Bengals in a 17-16 win. Also a game-clinching interception.
He picked that. I thought they recovered a fumble. He picked that off?
He did.
Off the bounce? Nice. Sweet play.
Roll Tide.
Why did Ole Miss guy just say that?
You got anything else?
No, I was just going over the performances for the weekend.
Heck yeah. How you feel about the Dolphins?
Tua is he's paid. He's paid handsomely
breaded.
well. But performance on the field, never would have thought he would have been outdueled by Daniel Jones.
Tyreek Hill not happy about it.
Daniel Jones, that deal.
I wouldn't say that.
Indiana Jones.
Is Green Bay's defense for real? I watched some of that game on Sunday.
Did you see Micah Parsons fighting through a triple team?
Didn't feel like Detroit's offense could get much going in that one.
Did you see Micah Parsons fighting through a triple team and getting the sack. Did you see it? It was one of the sickest plays I've ever
Green
seen.
Bay's defense, I'm saying, looks for real. But I don't know if the rust is off yet. Just waiting to see.
It's just location change.
Is Dan Campbell on the hot seat?
No.
No.
Ryan Callahan is.
Next on First Take.
Should Dan Campbell be on the hot seat? Next on First Take.
What did you think of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh uniform? 34-32 over the Jets. 22 of 30, 244, 4 touchdowns.
He was amazing. Did you watch the game?
Amazing?
Did you watch the game?
I did not.
Okay. Well, it was sick.
They ran for 53 yards.
It was sick.
It doesn't matter when you got Aaron Rodgers throwing that thing.
It was like, I don't know if he can keep it up, but it was like Green Bay Rodgers. It's like, all right.
Based on what I did see, he's gonna the movement's gonna have to calm down a little bit. He's not gonna stay alive.
No,
doing things
he'll
he's
die on the field, but that's worth it. Maybe that's how he wants to go.
doing. That could be it.
Think he's got another year left in him, or think this is
Hey,
it?
that's what Jim Harbaugh used to say. You play as long as you can, you coach as long as you can, then you die.
Chargers over Chiefs, I thought was big too. Herbert looked pretty good. San Diego's defense,
San Diego.
LA's defense
Heck yeah.
stepped up. They're never going to be LA to me. I'm sorry.
San Diego's back.
How about Xavier Worthy going out in the third play of the game? Shout out to fantasy owners.
Is he down for the year?
He was down for the game. I know that.
I know he's down for the game, but who cares about fantasy? Is he down for the year?
I don't think so. He ran into Travis Kelce, though, so who knows?
It's true. Travis Kelce showing a little jump there, end of the game,
just-
touchdown.
Kelsey looks like he's been pounding the weight room for a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
Better
where he
body,
That's where he
Travis
lives now.
Kelce or Aaron Rodgers?
Tie. Goes to the runner. All right. Andy Bertram joins us to talk Auburn football next on Jocks. Welcome back in. Hour 2, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. At this time each and every week, Andy Burcham joins us to catch up on Auburn football, look ahead to the next week as well, on the Higginbotham Hotline, and he's brought to us by our friends at Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
The voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lifted, buy and rented, the big dog's got it. Now, Andy Burcham.
Andy, great to be with you. Always appreciate you hopping on with us Tuesdays to catch up. Let's start with the health of this Auburn football team. A couple dings in this game over the weekend, but how will it affect them moving forward?
It's a really good question because we don't know the status right now of Damari Alston at tailback. He was back at practice or was with the team yesterday. Be interesting to see if he's out at practice here in just a couple of minutes, as a matter of fact. Auburn practicing in the mornings right now. Auburn will not have Darrell Robinson and I'm not certain how long. Apparently, after the game Saturday night, he woke up Sunday morning and had some blood that had collected on his thigh. They had to take him to UAB Hospital to have that blood removed. According to Coach Freeze last night on Tiger Talk, right here on Jocks, it was a pretty big incision that they had to use to get that blood out. And it's going to be a while before Auburn gets Darrell Robinson back. So I think Auburn's a bit dinged at the tailback spot. It makes what Jeremiah Cobb did against against Ball State all the more important with 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he gets more snaps. I think Omar Mabson II gets more snaps after his first action last Saturday. And we may even see Alvin Henderson, who's another Auburn true freshman, the all-time leading rusher in the state of Alabama out of Elba, may get some snaps this Saturday. The question is, does Damari Alston play this Saturday against South Alabama? Auburn, of course, did play without Champ this past weekend, and when they get Champ Anthony back, perhaps next week at Oklahoma remains to be seen at this point.
What do you think about kind of I don't want to say the complete removal of the run game last week in an effort to kind of build the passing? I think it was a smart move. I think it's the right place to do it. But do you think that will continue here? Like, what do you anticipate from the passing game as they continue to kind of lean into it before things ramp up as far as strength of schedule is concerned here?
Yeah, the first 2 games, Auburn has basically taken what the defense has given them. At Baylor, Baylor just tried to take the passing game away from Auburn, and Auburn ran the ball up and down the field, including Jackson Arnold running up and down the field. I think Auburn wanted to pull back on that last week against Ball State, and while Auburn did not stretch the field much with his passing game. He was still 24-28 for 251 yards and 3 touchdowns. Really had a very efficient game for Auburn. I think the one question or the one concern for the coaching staff coming out and for the offense were the sacks that Auburn gave up in that game. And we all know that the competition is about to get better, and it's going to get better this Saturday, I believe, with South Alabama, certainly when Auburn starts Southeastern Conference play in a week and a half at Oklahoma. But, I'm not sure we've seen all of the offense yet, but Auburn will be tested more by South Alabama this week than it was last week against Ball State, certainly from a defensive standpoint.
What were the coach's thoughts on that offensive line play? I thought there were a couple of individual breakdowns, maybe not so much a scheme, but just guys losing one-on-ones, like you said, in pass rush situations. And you had some new bodies that got a few more snaps, but what was the overall thought of just how that went and maybe how that's going to affect things moving forward?
Well, according to Coach Freeze, and he talked about it at his press conference yesterday and then again on Tiger Talk last night, it wasn't all on the offensive line, the sacks that were given up. Is when Coach went back and took a look at the sacks, he took credit for a couple of them in the fact that Jackson Arnold's drop was, even out of the shotgun, was much deeper than it should have been. And that's tough for any tackle to maintain a guy coming off the edge. So I think it's kind of a team effort there. I thought Auburn ran the ball effectively. Certainly, Jeremiah Cobb had a terrific game. It was a career game for Jeremiah, and we saw some action from Omar Mabson. Darrell Robinson, when he played, I mean, he had 2 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. Auburn's run game wasn't completely gone on Saturday. I thought Auburn's offense was much more balanced in that game against Ball State than it was against Baylor. And it will be interesting to see the tact that Auburn takes this week against South Alabama.
What do you make of just the overall approach defensively and kind of what you've seen so far? Like, I'm pretty encouraged by what I've seen. I am a little concerned about high volume passing attacks because of the yardage given up by Baylor. But are you at all worried about that, or do you think that's something that needs to be mindful of moving forward?
Well, Auburn is about to face some outstanding passing attacks. Auburn will face a much better passing attack this week from Bishop Davenport than it did a week ago from Kyle Kelly. And this is a South Alabama team that is overall much better, I think, than what Ball State was last week. And we know that that's about to take a huge step forward when Auburn jumps into SEC play next week. I thought Auburn tackled better last week. Auburn, I thought, defended the pass better last week. For the second straight week, it was really good against the run. I mean, really good against the run. And I'll be interested to see how Auburn is tested this week with Kentrell Bullock, who transferred to South Alabama from Ole Miss and has 234 yards and 3 touchdowns in their first 2 games. And then we know what comes and starts for the next week. And from Oklahoma, a week and a half from now, until mid-November, it's nothing but Southeastern Conference play for Auburn. Now, that includes 2 off weeks, but Auburn is about to get into the meat of its schedule. I think Auburn has been, I wouldn't say surprised, but pleased with the guys up front, especially in the middle, because that was a question mark for Auburn. I think we're seeing Auburn get a bit of an identity at the linebacker spot. I thought Xavier Atkins had a terrific game for Auburn and continues to shine for Auburn after his transfer in from LSU. And I just thought, as a team, Auburn tackled. I mean, it's hard to argue with what Auburn did against Ball State's run game last week. Ball State had -3 yards rushing. -3 yards rushing. And that's pretty tough to do against anybody from a defensive standpoint. So I thought it was encouraging for Auburn. But again, Auburn wasn't tested as much as it will be this week, and certainly as much as it will be starting a week and a half at Oklahoma.
And I know you said that, and Andy Bertram, voice of the Auburn Tigers, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Thanks to Craneworks, he's with us each week at this time. It has been a lot of taking what the defense has given them, but it also felt like early there was that mindset, and Coach Freeze has not really shied away from this in the past, wanting to get pass reps in, wanting to get Jackson Arnold going a little bit, wanting to get the receivers some action. Has he outwardly said that was part of the plan early on in that game?
It's interesting because when I sat down with him prior to the game for his pregame show, and I kind of asked him about being more balanced offensively, I still got the impression that it was going to be what Ball State gave Auburn, but that wasn't the impression I got in the game. I think Auburn certainly wanted to explore more of its passing game this past week, and the short stuff was there all game long, and Auburn took advantage of that. I mean, it was Cam Coleman was open all night long. Eric Singleton with his first 2 touchdowns at Auburn, and I think he threw to 7 or 8 different receivers, including 3 of the tight ends in that game as well. So I thought Auburn's mindset going in was we're going to establish more of a passing game, and it worked. And now it'll be interesting to see what Auburn does against South Alabama Saturday morning at 11:47. That's our tip or our kickoff time on Saturday.
Andy, we always appreciate the time, and we know each and every week you're brought to us by our friends at Craneworks. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina this week, by the way.
Oh, Columbia. Very nice. How about you, Mac?
Baton Rouge.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. That's an interesting matchup down there. But first, let me tell you about Craneworks. It's the most trusted name for crane and equipment rental in the Southeast for over 30 years. A fleet of cranes ranging from 2.5 tons to 500 tons. CraneWorks also offers trained and certified operators and riggers to make sure the job is done right. Locations in Birmingham, Nashville, Mobile, and Huntsville. Visit craneworks.com for more info. Well, guys, I hope you have a good call this weekend.
Same to you. We appreciate the time. We'll catch up next week. Yes, sir.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great one. War Eagle.
War Eagle. Thank you, Andy. Andy Burcham joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline with us every week, thanks to our friends at CraneWorks. And I don't know, did you feel like it was a little more of the let's get the passing game going early, G-Mac? And, yeah, take what the defense gives you, of course, but it felt like there was a little more emphasis on we want Jackson Arnold to get a little bit more comfortable, build some more of his confidence, get these receivers going a little bit as well.
100%. Anybody that watched that game cannot sit there and say, well, it's, there was a conscientious effort to lean
it may have been the
pass.
routes they were giving you, but it was also it leaned past.
100%. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Like, I don't think you can say, we just take what the defense gives you. That's fine. But at the same time, like, in order to win big down the road, you got to be able to win through the air. I'm not saying that's every week. Some weeks you might not be able to run it at all. It happens. Like your quarterback, if you want to play and win big games, at some point will have to step up and make plays. Doesn't matter how good your running game is. There were a handful of games. I had a Heisman Trophy winning running back, and there were a couple games where our rushing attack was not as well oiled as you'd like for it to be. So there's going to be a game or two where Jackson Arnold's going to have to win it with his arm. And I am not at this point confident that he can do that. Maybe in time he'll prove it to us, but I think games like last week where there is a subconscious intent to lean on the pass, it is beneficial for the long-term growth.
I want to go a little bit further with you on Jackson Arnold and what you just said about taking over, winning a game on his shoulders, and maybe how does Auburn find ways to get closer to that and him being able to do that, because in 2 weeks that may be what it is. We'll discuss all of that and more next right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. We are finished with guests for the day. We'll open up the phones, go to the Twitter feed as well if you have feedback on Alabama, Auburn from over the weekend, other college football that you have seen from over the weekend. What do you want to discuss? You let us know. I want to go back to Auburn, though, G-Mac, and you brought up doesn't feel like Jackson Arnold's ready to have the game on his shoulders just yet. He can't really go out and take over a game, which is okay because he has receivers that feel like they can do that. The run game has been pretty good.
Yes.
The offensive line in spots has played good football. But for him to get closer to that, what has to happen? I mean, not even totally get to where he is the guy that they lean on consistently, but just where they can lean on him at times, where he can be the guy in spots, whether it's drives, quarters over the course of games, that he can be a little bit more of a takeover quarterback.
You know, I think he can be a takeover quarterback. I just don't think he's going to be able to be a takeover quarterback as a deep ball passer. I think his deep ball accuracy is leaving a little to be desired. I think he's fine on the short stuff. I think what makes him really tough is when plays break down and he leaves the pocket with the intent to run.
Mm-hmm.
That's by far his best attribute to me is as a scrambler. Even more so than as like a scrambler than a designed carry guy. Do you see it similar?
Yeah, I think he's good with the design carries.
He's fine with them. I think he really becomes because he's big and he's pretty physical, and I think he's quicker than you realize. One thing I didn't like about Baylor, we've now found out Baylor's defense, by the way, is a bit of a sieve. I just don't want to overanalyze that performance. One thing I didn't like about him, I thought there were a few too many Milroe moments from him. Hear me when I say that. When I say Milroe moments, I mean he gets upfield for 6 or 7, and then he tries to break to the outside and like capture the defense on the perimeter. Like how many times we see Milroe try to do that last year?
But it's a direct turn to the left instead of a just make a guy miss. Yeah,
correct.
I kind of see where you're going with that.
So like Milroe moments mean like Milroe would like avoid contact for God knows why, and like break to the outside and like try to get around people. I saw some similar traits from Jackson Arnold that in the Baylor game. That's not a formula that is successful against SEC competition. You cannot run around people in the SEC. You take 6 or 7, you get down, boom, call it a day.
Yeah.
Like the likelihood of you breaking to the outside, unless your name's Lamar Jackson, is absolutely not going to happen.
Nope.
Like take 6 or 7, get down, live to play the next play. Now it's 2nd and 3. Boom. Love it. Great play. If he start running, trying to break it to the outside, he's going to end up, 1, exposing himself to more contact. 2, he's going to end up losing yards.
Yeah.
So that's the one area where it's like, all right, I know he's a super dynamic scrambler. I think he was really good with the ball in his hands when plays break down. I just want to see him be more decisive as a runner, as opposed to a guy that's trying to break the big play.
And when he does go north and south, like you said,
it's good.
He's got twitch. He's got good speed. He can break you down. Yep. It's just that there are those direct left and right turns at certain points in time that you kind of think to yourself, this felt unnecessary. Why are we going back to that? As a passer, is there anything mechanically that you look at and say, man, he could clean that part up and it would help a lot? Is it differentiating arm angles? Is it weight distribution, throwing off back foot? Is there anything that you feel like you look at and say, I could see him cleaning up this portion of mechanically how he delivers the football, and if that became more consistent, or if he could get over this little hump, that he could be a more accurate passer on a more consistent basis?
I don't know if it's so much as it's like a mechanical flaw. There isn't anything that really jumps out to me. I just don't know if he's a supernaturally accurate quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, and when I say supernaturally accurate, like hear me out when I say that. I'm not talking about completion percentage. I'm talking about the guys that have next level accuracy. And there's not that many like that. Like you become a high level guy in a top 5 pick and all this stuff that's like because of your next level accuracy. Some of it's like, do you have some touch on the passes? Like, do you make it friendly for the wide receivers? If you want to throw 1,000-mile-an-hour fastballs on every throw, fine. Like, that's cool. But, like, guess what? That's going to be hard on your receivers. I just don't know if it's in there. Maybe it is. I have not seen it at the college level just yet. So I think it's good to take games like last week, to take games like this week against South Alabama. If you have the luxury, by the way, like we've talked about, first 3 weeks, G5 opponents, like they're going to have some games. They're going to make it kind of hard. I think it's important to continue to develop that area, develop that skill, because nothing that I've seen so far in 2 seasons of watching him play high-level college football, I have not seen him as like a crazy, naturally accurate passer.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I mean?
I kind of wonder sometimes if we talked about him having that twitch, if his delivery, I'm trying to figure out how to state
What
this.
have we said forever? If you're too bulked up and you're not super flexible, it's going to be kind of hard to be like a supernaturally accurate passer.
I don't know if I view him as bulked up.
He's
but
a thrower more than he is a passer.
That may be the best way to state it.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like he tries to throw the ball too hard too often. And he's got touch when he does find it, when he needs it. Like it can be there, no problem. But it's just there are certain balls that you just like, it's like, boom, and you can see it's like just a ton of effort goes into it. And it feels like, man, you've got the arm to where you didn't have to put everything into that one. And the touch on the pass could absolutely be a little bit more as opposed to the velocity on the football. And that's the only thing that I see that maybe could, I feel like, be corrected or calmed down a little bit as he moves on. He feels like a tense quarterback a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And some of the other guys, like how often does it look like Patrick Mahomes? And it's a terrible comp because like we shouldn't take him, but like Cam Ward moving around, he didn't really look tense very often.
No.
Like he looks loose and free and kind of like, all right, let's sling it over here. Like, yeah, all right, cool. You know, and it's like I thought Ty Simpson looked very tense at times in the Florida State game and a lot less tense against ULM.
Yes.
And we talked about that with Bo Nix early at Auburn. Like he couldn't find his calm in the pocket.
No.
Everything was like
1,000 miles an hour. Everything.
Like just press.
1,000 miles an hour. Everything.
And I feel like a lot of times that's where I see Jackson Arnold right now. It's like everything is like just raring to go, on tilt. Like it's like a firecracker that has been lit. And like you stated, sometimes when he leaves the pocket and needs to run, that's great because he'll run past you and he'll try to run over you. And that's awesome. But it's just, don't know if you need that on a slant.
Yeah.
You know, or check down to the back out of the backfield. And finding that calm, I think, is where I look at him and say, man, if he can get to that, I think it would allow him to make some really big strides. Because I think that's where the consistency is going to come from.
Yeah. I mean, I think being a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more methodical, like there's a certain, you can't really put your finger on it, but there's a certain rhythm to playing the position, letting your feet marry up to when you throw it, understanding the route concepts, how quickly you need to drop on this route, how you can let this route develop a little bit. Like when you watch high-level quarterback play, and I'm talking NFL guys. In college, yes, there are the few transcendent guys. Like I've talked forever. Like the most talented guy I've ever seen at the college level is still Andrew Luck. There was just a certain rhythm, a certain level of control, a certain level of just feel and natural movement that just felt so effortless. It's like a symphony when you watch them. It's like everything is just working in unison. And sometimes when you're running a million miles an hour, it's hard to kind of fathom and hard to kind of comprehend where that comfort level, it just doesn't look comfortable. I guess the best way to say it. Like the best players at quarterback always look like they're in control. They always look like they're comfortable. The best ones. You know what I mean? Like how often, for example, when you were watching I think arguably the most talented player of his generation, Aaron Rodgers, when you watched him in Green Bay, think about how in control he always looked and how it looked a little effortless. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we talked about this last year. Like we talked about this with Jackson Arnold last year at Oklahoma. It's like it doesn't look effortless. And that's okay because hopefully it'll come, but it needs to everything needs to slow down, calm down. It's going to be just fine. But I love what they did last week. I continue to reemphasize that. I could care less about, the taking what the defense gives you. Like, force feed the passing game. That's where they need to grow. So therefore, make it a point of emphasis this week.
Absolutely. All right, so a lot more college football to get to. I want to stay with quarterbacks, and there are questions and concerns about other quarterbacks inside the SEC that we need to get to. If you have questions about your health, your CBD store may be able to help. They're open right now. Don't listen to what you see or hear on the news. Your CBD store has products that they can help you with on a daily basis. Largest brick and mortar CBD retailer in the world, focusing their attention on being the best plant sciences company out there. Arthritis, anxiety, they can help you with your pet. They can also help out with arthritis and anxiety. A couple of pets in our household over time they've helped with be able to move around a little bit better at an older age. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. They've got that stamp seal on the products. So your CBD store can help you with a lot of different things in that way. The Trim by SunMed on the shelves now for weight loss at your CBD store. 3 locations. Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleveland, Trustful just off 459, your CBD store where good health hits home. A certain head coach had to answer questions about his quarterback. Is there a problem? We'll discuss it next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. We'll talk any college football from over the weekend, heading into this week. We've got some injury news we need to get to. Also, another SEC quarterback that we're going to have a conversation about. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. Ryan wants to talk weekend's games. He is on the Higginbotham hotline. Ryan, welcome into the show.
Hey, guys. Good morning. How are y'all?
Morning. Doing
buddy.
well, thanks.
So I wanted to talk injuries at the Auburn running back position. Obviously, Damari's is a little lighter. Looks like he may even play this weekend if we have to. But I was curious on the Darrell Robinson, this freak injury where he's had to get blood removed from his leg. Have y'all ever heard of or seen anything like that? And what's the recovery like, you think?
Yeah, we just talked to Andy Bertram about that. If you missed it, the podcast will be up and available. But I mean, when I first saw it, obviously the way it was listed initially is odd. It's like, to have blood removed on his leg, and you're like, well, wait a second, that just doesn't sound right. And then Andy describing that the incision to go in and remove it was a lot bigger than they initially thought, and that sounds like there's no real timetable for this. So not a great situation, because I will say that is one that you're going to be very careful with, because there are a lot of complications with that down the road that you have to be very wary of. And I'm all for taking your time with that one, which I know the folks that are in charge of it will. But, yeah, that's one that I can't sit here and tell you, if he had a Jones fracture, I'd say, 6 to 8 weeks, you put a screw in it. Once it's healed, he goes. That's it. You try to stay in best shape as you can by doing stuff on the, zero gravity treadmill or in the pool or on the bike, and you're ready to roll once that thing heals. This is different. I don't know the exact parameters that you look at. I don't know what the benchmarks are where you say, okay, he's cleared to go, because I haven't been around a lot of those, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So that means, after Damari, obviously you've got a guy from Montgomery, but who's next in line?
Yeah, you got to start getting down to a couple freshmen, and kind of what Andy was talking to us about, that you're going to have a couple of guys that hadn't gotten a lot of reps that now are going to have to find them in games. And so it's a tough situation, but you hope that you can get a couple of those guys back, and hope you don't have to go too far down the depth chart. And if you're going to get them back, I think Oklahoma obviously is the game that you'd want to get them back for.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Appreciate it. Beham Dog wants to chime in. Dog, welcome into the show.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Morning.
So I grew up in South Georgia. I actually played football against where Kirby played in Bainbridge Bearcats. Kirby was a little would have me about a year or two. I knew him as a 16-year-old, and he was stubborn and probably the toughest kid I've ever met in my life. Would fight at the drop of a hat. And my question goes along with, Greg, you played up under Kirby and Saban.
Yes.
How much alike is he when it comes to Saban? How hard will it be to make a change? How hard would you think it was for Saban to make the change to Tua? And what are we looking at with this quarterback situation? I've gone back and watched so much film with Aaron Murray and Brooks Austin, and the plays are there. The guys are open. He's just not throwing the ball. What do you think is going through his head as a quarterback? And I'll hang up and listen, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question. One, you got to take the training wheels off at some point. I mean, if you look at some of the throws they're asking him to make, I mean, it's just there's not much there. I mean, how many throws there in the first three quarters are like 3-4 yards downfield at most? I mean, a lot of them are behind the line of scrimmage. A lot of them are, a lot of them are just really high. They're basically extended handoffs, And my biggest concern is, I think part of the reason why they went to that style is they were concerned about pass pro. Against Austin Peay, I mean, I know you got a true freshman right guard that's out of the game, or you're shuffling along the offensive line. I get all that, but if you aren't confident in the guys holding up front, and remember, what was the big problem last year against Ole Miss, for example? It was pass pro. Green's banged up at right tackle. You're down your right guard. You're shuffling guys all over the place. Hopefully you'll be healthy at some point here very soon, and that group will solidify. But this is now 2 years in a row where pass pro for Georgia has been a little bit of a concern, and that's against Austin Peay.
Can I just throw one thing in there?
Please.
And you and I talked about this a little bit off air yesterday. The pull protection and play action is infuriating to me.
I know you hate it.
You are opening up lanes for defenses to win. And I understand you have to have your play action game. I get it. Like that's a whole part of running the football. It's, probably the number 2 or 3 reason you run the football. But you don't have to do it that way all the time, because you've got a guy blocking back, and then you have another guard that's pulling, which it takes, number one, it takes time to pull and get around. And then if you have a defender who's screaming upfield, you have to adjust your track, and that's going to be very difficult. Some of this will depend on, actually going back to what Andy talked about, the quarterback's drop can affect that. If it's too deep or if it's maybe a little bit lateral, all of a sudden that guy's right in his face. And there's got to be different ways to protect your guys and run passing plays. I mean, my whole thing with play action is like, fire off the football.
Yeah.
Make them think it's run. If play action protection, to me, where you're giving ground, it goes against the principle of it. Now, I understand you got gap scheme runs, so you want to play action off those. It's fine. Do it every now and then. But give me an inside zone play action where we're coming off the football and making the linebackers think it's a run play. But the whole blocking back and pulling around like that, it gives the defense so many advantages with leakage to be able to get into the backfield and get to the quarterback. You essentially have a guy who has to come laterally and cut a guy off. But, I mean, think about it, Greg. You're turning your shoulders laterally to go try to block him. If he gets upfield at all of a sudden he's winning, because you have to readjust and try to get back in front. You have to try to front him up again. It's an almost impossible task. And then the pull part of it, like, if people remember when Malzahn was at Auburn, just go to the A&M games. When they tried to pull Braden Smith out to block Myles Garrett 17 times a game, and it never worked. It wasn't going to work because he was too good. I would like to see less of that.
I get it.
From Georgia.
I get it. You don't need to convince me. We're on the same page. My biggest issue is going to continue to be pass rush. And I look at Tennessee, and I think Tennessee can get after you. I mean, there's no denying that they can get after you, correct? And we're all on the same page there.
Yes.
If for whatever reason that may go down, that they can't hold up in protection enough to do things downfield that they want to do. You could talk about Ryan Puglisi. You could talk about, they got to make a change. The OC can't do this. The OC can't do that. If you can't block them in protection, how can you develop any type of downfield passing attack? How do you do that? Someone's going to have to explain that to me, because I don't feel confident as a quarterback dropping back very often if I'm not 100% certain that I'm going to be able to make things happen up front. If I'm going to be able to have my guys hold up long enough to allow things to develop downfield, like, that is a problem. So that's what I'm most concerned about. And this is not necessarily the get right recipe you're looking for, because while, yes, Tennessee has concerns at corner, down their top 2 guys from a year ago, relying on a true freshman and a transfer from Colorado who's been fine, I think that group can't be exploited if the pass rush gets home. And the pass rush, based on what I've seen the first 2 weeks from Georgia's offensive line, is probably going to get home more than you want.
Some of it's got to be shored up, and obviously health was a big issue with it last year, and looks like it may be again this year. Dwayne in Birmingham wants to chime in on the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome into the show, Dwayne.
Morning, guys. Hey, Cole, great call this weekend, brother. I mean, you did an awesome job. My question is for Greg. Greg,
yes, sir.
Talking about y'all were talking about Auburn quarterback, but like every first-year quarterback, when they come in, I played quarterback in high school, and I remember every time I stepped up in level, like from Pee-wee to junior to varsity, my first year at quarterback, I would throw more often to the guy, to my receiver. I would throw to the guy. But as I grew confidence in my receivers, when I would get more productive and be at my best was when I was throwing to a spot, because I had confidence that my guy would be at that spot.
He'd get there, yep.
So when you played, and what portion of that do you think is the most important to be able to trust them and throw to a spot? You hear a commentator say he threw the receiver open. Well, actually, to me, he's throwing it to a spot, and that receiver, he has confidence that receiver's going to get there. So how long does it take to build that? How important is that to you when you look at quarterbacks? That's my question.
It's
Matthew, we just got to give him so much credit, don't we? We just have to. Look at him buy time in the pocket. Look at that quarterback just buying time back there. Oh, he throws the receiver open. Like the receiver can't think for himself and go get the football. Or nobody's blocking for him to give him time back there. We just got to give him more credit. It's unbelievable.
You done?
I'm done.
Okay. Just because you gained too much weight to play quarterback doesn't mean you're mad at us. Okay. It's not our fault that you ate yourself into the 3-point stance. Okay. Cole actually throws it pretty good. He just was only able to throw it 5 yards in the 3 shotgun snaps he had a game back in
that was it
in the late 90s. Look, I think a lot of that has to do with trust. A lot of that has to do with comfort. And that does take time. And you can work it in the summer. You can work the routes on air. You can do one-on-ones. You can do 7-on-7s. You can do all that. But the reality is when the real live bullets are flying and you are back there, things are moving 1 million miles an hour. And the only way you know for sure to throw the ball is to see a guy get open and to put it on his body. So it takes some time, I think, to develop that rapport. I think it takes some time to develop that trust and to develop that chemistry. And look, if the pocket was clean every time you drop back and threw it, great. Then you have a stat line that looks a little like Dante Moore right now at Oregon. But that's not the reality. Not in the SEC. The D-lines are too good. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's something that you want to continue to grow on. You want to see improvement in those areas. But to have it well ironed out in week 2 is highly unlikely.
Yeah, especially with the changes that you're getting across the roster nowadays. And then I think there's a lot of coaches. I think part of this, Greg, what we're talking about with Georgia, I think there are things they're trying to coach around.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what those are. Maybe they don't have the confidence in straight drop back protection. Maybe they don't have the confidence with the quarterback seeing things. And when you start to coach around things, you start subtracting from your entire playbook.
Yep.
And when you start subtracting from your playbook, you lose options and you lose ways to attack things. You become limited. Then you become one-dimensional. It all just it's a snowball effect.
Yep.
Because once you say, okay, we're cutting this off. All right, well, where are you going to go if this happens? And that was your answer to most of the things. Well, we're going to try to do this. We're going to try to do that. But we can't because of the right tackle. So we can't sprint out away from him because we're not confident that he can wall things off. So, all right, well, we'll cut that out. And then you just begin to take away from who you are. And that stuff catches up with you fast.
No question.
You've got to have answers for how the defense is going to attack you.
Yeah. And that's not easy to do. And it takes time. To be honest with you, you can ask any of these coaches. None of these coaches now know what they have still. You don't know in week 3. Like a lot of these teams have played powder puffs, man. Like you don't know what you have just yet. Like you can be optimistic. You can tell I believe like we have done everything that we could possibly do. Like we're in a good spot. We've done everything we can do to make sure that we're prepared for what they throw at us. But the reality is, I don't know if my true freshman right guard is going to hold up in pass pro against a War Daddy D tackle that's played 4 years of college football. I don't know that. Like,
are any of them going to be able to communicate on the road? Like, are they going to look at the guy next to him and tell him this is the call? Because they haven't had to do that yet.
Oh, no. They have crowd noise at practice. Ah.
Okay. Well,
they listen to music really loud at practice. Ah. No, like, you don't know that.
Yeah, they don't have dudes throwing miniatures at them on the way into the game and grabbing them when you're walking through the tunnel either. It's a little different when you get to some of these spots.
So answer me this. Like when you walk into a casino, hear me out. Everybody listening to this, because I think this is a good metaphor for what these coaches are going through here in the first 3 weeks of the season. When you walk into the casino.
Straight to blackjack.
Well,
Let's go.
Let's say your budget. I'm comfortable putting $1,000 in play here over the next 3 days at in the casino. Here's my $1,000. If I lose it all, I'm prepared to lose $1,000. Answer me this: on the blackjack table that you walk to on the first hand, what's your bet? Are you betting $250 on the first hand when you only have $1,000 to play with?
Probably not.
No. You know what you're going to do?
Got to see how hot the table is first.
You got to walk in there and you're going to say, hey, you know what? Let's size them up a little bit.
Yeah. How many people sitting with me, too?
Correct.
I don't need that dude stealing my cards.
Do they know what they're doing? I'm going to play Barrett. Where's the $10 minimum table? Find me that. And if I can't do it in this casino,
50 laps looking for a smaller minimum,
I'm walking to Luxor, and I'm going to go find myself a $10 minimum table. You're not going out there as a player. All of us right now, anyone that's been to Vegas or has been in a casino, you're not betting max bet on the first play. Like, heck no, you're not. You're going to kind of let the game come to you, and once you get a feel for it, maybe you get up a little bit, you get a little hot. Hey, boom, hammer down. There's a $100 bet. And then you lose that one naturally because you always do. And all right, back to $10.
You always do.
That's where these coaches are right now early in the season. Like, they don't want to put all their chips on the table on the first hand of the game. Like, they just kind of want to let it come to them. They want to a little bit die a slow death. Maybe get a feel for the room. Get a feel for the players that they're playing with. Get a feel for what their right guard can do. So they're not going to put him on an island against an All-American candidate and drop a guy back and throw it 60 yards downfield. Like, heck no. Why would you do that? Because guess what? That guy whiffs because you're not really sure if he can actually hold up. Yeah, you know what? We're going to play it conservative these first couple weeks. That's what everybody's doing.
I think what Greg's trying to say in that maybe depending on who you listen to, be a little bit careful with definitives. And if you recall, we told you on this show we were going to be really careful about definitives early in this season because of how much we don't know. Number one, he just told you these coaches don't know. Tell me how many times you've heard this through how many games have we worked? 2?
We've done 2 games this year.
How many coaches referencing an individual have said, I got a chance?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Everybody.
I mean, they don't know so many of these guys. And that's the thing. When these definitives, when you watch people breaking down film or players or games, you have to have the understanding of there are other things at play. It's not just this quarterback against this defense on this play, this route. There are practice reps. There are thoughts of what he has seen, hasn't seen, looks he's seen, hasn't seen, defenses that have been worked and haven't been worked, reps throwing that route to that guy. Like, there are a lot of things at work than just, oh, look, this dig route's open for 2 seconds. Why didn't he throw it? What's wrong with him? He's got a problem. He can't do this. He's not capable of this. There's a lot of things at play. And I think all of that buildup and setup is essentially where you're going with that. As to we're going to get there. We're going to get to that. We're working to that. We want that. We think we can do that. But not everybody can go do everything right this second.
No.
It's not real. I mean, y'all want to go be a trapeze artist. You're going to go out there and walk across the line like with the big stick on the first time, 1,000 feet up, or you're going to do it over a net 20 feet up first time. You're going to probably feel it out a little bit. You're going to see what you got. And the comfort level comes once you've done it a few times. You got to get to it before you get comfortable with it. And that's what I would just say about some of the folks that are very definitive with how they watch and judge things that they see in college football. There is a feeling out process still. And just maybe give that just a little bit of time. You don't need time to find beautiful products at Bromberg's, though, Greg.
No, they're terrific. Gold, silver, platinum jewelry. It's beautiful. You'll love the experience you have when you walk in the door and visit with one of their incredibly knowledgeable and helpful sales staff. I love those people. They're my friends. They're terrific at what they do, and they always point me in the right direction. These are purchases that you will not just have for a couple of years. These are things that might be in your family for multiple generations. And that's why Bromberg's have been serving multiple generations here in the great state of Alabama for nearly 200 years. They have been around since the 1800s. 1830s. That's when they opened their doors for the very first time. They continue to elevate the experience for every single person that uses their store. So go and check them out in Mount Brook Village, which is undergoing a amazing transformation, beautiful renovation. You can also go check them out at the Summit, and you can check them out online at brombergs.com.
All right, we'll come back, talk a little bit more about SEC quarterback play next right here on Jocks.
McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:54 here, Birmingham, Alabama. Appreciate y'all being with us today. Exciting week 3 coming up. A lot of really interesting games. Some games that will really kind of set the table with what could be coming here very, very soon. Always appreciate those of you joining us on the text line, those of you calling in, and those of you tweeting into the show at Mac and Cube. Also, always appreciate the experience you have when you go shop at Bill Smith Buick GMC. Sent another buddy up there the other day. He comes home with a brand new ride. Absolutely beautiful. It's the deals. I mean, it's understandable. It's easy. My buddies will be like, "You think they'll hook me up?" I'm like, "They hook everybody up." That's the beauty. I mean, I pay what y'all pay, and the reason why I go there is because I pay less there than anywhere else. Like a 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, $66,835 is the list price. You can take $14,500 off. Get it for $52,335. That's a beautiful vehicle. You can also get a 2026 Buick Encore GX Preferred. That's $5,000 off the sticker, down at $24,375. It's deals like that to keep people come back. That's why 75% of their business, repeat customers, that's because you have a better experience when you shop with Bill Smith. Take the short drive up to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGypsy.com.
There's a lot being made about clips of Arch Manning throwing the football. And a lot of folks are reading into what they think is happening and what they think is going on with them. First off, after the game, Arch saying that he thought his own performance was a little bit sloppy.
I thought I went out there and made a few more plays, but once again, just wasn't very efficient and a little sloppy. Too many penalties. I played at a certain standard, and sometimes you got to let go of the past and just move on and keep playing. Whether it's a bad play or a bad game, just move on.
We'll hear from his head coach on the other side about his performance and what some other people think that they are reading into it, what they think's going on. McElroy will give you his thoughts on Arch Manning so far this year, maybe what can improve, maybe what is or isn't as far as his health, his delivery, how he throwing the football, because a lot of people are reading into him being injured, and there's been no reports on that.
Yeah.
And Sark attempting to put those people in their place. We'll hear from him when we come back next right here on Jocks.